20 minutes of the best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. Okay. This is Mary Collins from LifeHakx Media, and I have the pleasure to have Sina Ofili on our show today. Hi, Sina. How are you?
Hi, Mary. I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. And so I'm going to tell our audience a little bit about you. Sina was born on a border town of Switzerland and Germany, and she went and moved to London after studying European study at Royal Holloway. And from there, you moved to Sweden, correct?
Correct, yes.
Great, where she did her master's degree in marketing with a specialization in customer relationship management. After studying business, she went on to get a certification in advanced studies in mental training in Sweden. And one of the first things that fascinated her about it was hypnosis in medicine. This inspired her to go on and create her own program called Mindful Mothers, being a mother herself. Her program includes specialization in fertility, pre- and postnatal topics, positive psychology, just to mention a few. The programs are a combination of live sessions held in groups, but also on a one-to-one basis. Also, there are videos, audio, and exercises. And from there, Sina, I'm going to let you tell the audience a little bit more about your program.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mary. Well, we have a couple of programs. Initially, we started off with face-to-face classes and courses offering fertility, prenatal and postnatal classes, and balance courses for mothers. Although 2020, like most other trainers, coaches, and so on, we had to face the online world, and from there onwards, we created a program that was a combination of live sessions, one-on-ones, videos, audios, and exercises. The nice part about that is also that the ladies in general, they have a buddy and a group they can exchange with, and it still feels kind of like almost a face-to-face group. And that was the purpose of our programs, to have that interaction with others, with like-minded and women in a similar situation.
Okay, so when you talk about a similar situation, what are you actually referring to? Because we're talking about hypnosis, fertility. What exactly was your mind? Your ideas were based on this. Like, what did you want to accomplish with it?
Well, the initial thought was to sort of cover the life cycle of a mother or of a woman becoming a mother. I started off just with prenatal classes. Mm-hmm. I did a course in hypnobirthing, and from there onwards, Mindful Mothers was born, and the idea of supporting women in their role as a mother. Through the prenatal classes, we moved on to postnatal classes. From there on, we offered courses for mothers in general, sort of life balance courses. But we also noticed that fertility is a topic for a lot of women, and so we specialized in fertility as well.
Wow. Okay. I mean, so this is quite an interesting subject, because you think like in ancient times, that's exactly what there would be. There'd be special women, of course, there would be midwives and healers, and women were really part of a community, and the idea of fertility and hormones and health and child rearing was part of the community. And now we have like these double roles where we have to be working, and we have to be mothers, and we have to be superstars. And, it's very interesting that you are now organizing that kind of system that is so beneficial, not just to women, but to the community in itself. So tell me a little bit more how hypnosis is involved, and how is it beneficial for fertility and pre and postnatal?
Well, first of all, with fertility, there are all sorts of reasons. Women might have difficulty to conceive because of physiological reasons or stress-related anxiety, but there are also often unknown issues that we don't find out, and the women don't find out. Mm-hmm. And hypnosis is a great tool to work with that. Hypnosis in general is a natural state. It activates for example, your nervous system.
Mhm.
It can regulate your hormones. So it's just perfect for fertility, but also for prenatal classes, for example. With hypnosis, you can go into a very deep relaxation. You can tackle your fear and anxiety, maybe of childbirth or whatever you might have, consciously or unconsciously. So for me, hypnosis is really one of the key features of all of the programs.
Oh, absolutely. And including when you were saying about the prenatal, or a lot of people are trying to have children, and it seems to be that the more they try, in a lot of cases, the least chance it's going to happen. And it's like finally when they relax or they give up, that's when you hear about the miracle pregnancies. And a lot of this, of course, is probably stress related. The whole like it's almost that time of the month, we have to be on time, it's a schedule, and it takes the actual fun almost out of procreation, and therefore,
Absolutely.
it's kind of a cause lead. So with that, what's a normal like mindful mother's hypnosis session like?
Well, a normal session is, first of all, we build a rapport with a client. We talk to them. We make them feel comfortable. We try to understand each other, build up the trust, and that they feel they're understood and in a safe environment. I always say, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it, and that goes both way. Like if I don't feel comfortable with that client, I will not take the client on. But also vice versa. If you ever go and see someone that you don't feel comfortable in that area, probably best not to do it, or try and look for someone else.
But you say
Yeah.
you have a group as well, so that's also a little bit more with the community. Is that then people can maybe come to the group session and then see if they want to do individual sessions as well?
Absolutely. For example, in our programs, we have group sessions, but we also have individual sessions. That also obviously also depends on what the issues are. We try to, even though it's a set program, we try to tailor make it as much onto our client as possible. And we also involve the partners. Partners play an important role.
Right.
Hypnosis works for them the same way as it does for the women. If they have a lot of stress at work, the whole process of conceiving might be stressful. That also has an impact on the male hormone. So, for example, lower testosterone, less quality of sperm, and so on. So we also actually treat the partners, or the partners are in most programs part of the program, and try to, or should play an active role in there as well, because it concerns them as well. It takes two to tango, I always say.
Right. What a great perfect start to the LifeHakx. It takes two to tango, so hey, guy, make some time to go to the session as well.
Absolutely.
So we'll be right back.
Do what you want.
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx.
So, Sina, as you were saying about the idea of getting partners involved, or coming to group therapy, or coming, just for the person themselves to discuss fertility, or to discuss pregnancy, or just to discuss birth, etc. Tell us a bit more about your process.
Well, like I said, at every part, at the beginning of every session, or even on the phone call, when clients call us up, we try to build rapport. We try to make them feel comfortable, but we also want to see whether they fit for our program. Once they come for a session, we usually just start off with what we call the pre-talk. We tell them about what hypnosis is and what it's not. So, for example, you're not going to walk around like a headless chicken and go quack, 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 quack. Yes. And we also discuss their issues, their expectations, what they want, what their outcome should be. For us, that doesn't always mean we need to know the ins and outs, because that would be the conscious side of things. But it's important for us to understand, and then later on use certain aspects of this during the hypnosis. We begin each session with what we call an induction. The client will sit back comfortably and start closing their eyes. Usually they can also keep their eyes open if they want, and usually starts focusing on their breathing, or a breathing technique that we give them to help to relax, and to help to relax their body. Additionally, we like to do a body scan to reinforce this feeling of relaxation and feeling good and nice, and then move on to the mind by using visualization and trying to incorporate all senses in case a person isn't so visual, or or to emphasize on it more. We then move on to the main part of the hypnosis session, and that's obviously always based on the topic, on the issue around it. There are different techniques that we can use, and we try to resolve that. We speak to the client about it, and usually they have the answers. It's not that we put on our thoughts onto them that they should do this, X, Y, and Z. No, we give them ideas. We say, well, how can you resolve that? And you have to understand the unconscious mind works differently than the conscious minds, and a lot of times the solutions are sound different or are different than we would consciously expect them. And then generally, when we agree during the hypnosis that the issue is solved, and then the client is happy with that, we end the sessions with a nice feeling, making the client feel full of energy, very positive, and count from 1 to 5, and the client is back in the room.
Okay. And I mean, also as an experienced hypnotherapist myself, I think it's great that what you're doing, because I'm sure that you also, with the whole relaxation thing, they're also learning themselves how to relax a bit more, so they can take that with them when they go back home. They can take that, and it does make a difference. Being relaxed makes a difference to the chance of fertility and the chance of a good evening in general.
And I mean, there's so many other factors that we also use, not just hypnosis, but I mentioned at the beginning, we use breathing techniques. Breathing techniques, you don't have to be in hypnosis. You can just use them wherever you are, whenever you want to use them for birthing, but also for if you have IVF treatment or whatever, to stay calm. And we also teach self-hypnosis. We give them audio. So for example, you're going to an IVF session, so you can just take your audio with you and listen to that and be relaxed. If you give birth, you have your audios for that, or even your partner who will learn how to hypnotize you can do that for you live in the room where you are, wherever you're giving birth. So they're really getting a lot of tools to reinforce that relaxation. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, so tell me, what would you say are some of your top 5 tips for women who want to get pregnant but are having some difficulties?
In general, I would say get some help. First of all, get medical help. Try and find a good gynecologist, GP, whatever, someone who will look into the fertility issue. And that also goes for the partner, obviously. You have to check both sides, but really try and get someone where you feel comfortable, someone that listens to you, where you feel it's the right person. Secondly, I would suggest get help, but maybe in a holistic way.
Right.
I'm a great fan of traditional Chinese medicine, but you can also do yoga therapy, whatever would work for you. For example, hypnosis could be something, hypnotherapy. And those are all factors that will help you with, for example, IVF treatment, or will help you overcome a miscarriage and things like that. Thirdly, talk about it. That's also why it's one big part in our group program, to have that community, to speak to other women that are in the same situation. I know miscarrying, IVF, it's not a topic that you talk about when you go down to the pub and have a drink, but it can be a professional coach that you talk to. It can be a psychologist. It can be a good friend, or maybe just a friend who's a good listener, or just someone that you can trust and you feel comfortable discussing it.
Right.
Because
or mindful mothers. Mindful mothers. I mean, this is the thing. I think your organization is so important, because it is really awkward to tell family members, because I think their response can make things even worse. They can make things even more sensitive. It can make things more awkward between yourself and your partner, because there's that stress level, and it can become a blame game so easily. For something that is actually no one is responsible for, as a pair. It's maybe something to do with hormones. It might be just separate stresses, but it's so important to talk to the right people, not just anyone. Because not every friend is going to understand. And Mindful mothers, then people can compare, and then they don't feel as bad. They don't feel so alone.
Exactly,
And they can
judged
change,
and all of
right,
that, yeah.
Right. So I think that your group in itself is so very important and helpful.
And also there's obviously mindfulness, meditation, hypnosis exercise. It's all for self-regulation, but yeah, most importantly, it works with your brain. And a lot of people don't realize that training your brain is like going to a gym. You don't just buy the membership and you get the muscles. No, you actually have to go there and exercise.
Right.
So that for me, that's always one of the key features that I tell my clients when even before they sign up. Look, what you do here, what you get, that's maybe 10%. The other 90% is really what you have to put into, and regular practice. And we're not asking for a lot. It can be a 10-minute meditation in the evening before you go to bed, or whilst lying in bed. It's not a lot, or just a couple of minutes throughout the day of mindfulness, and that actually will change your brain. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's great. And I always say, once you're in the fertility program, you just continue with those exercises for the rest of your life. I mean, you might join our prenatal classes and postnatal classes.
Yeah.
You already have your routine, and that's just the brilliant part, because that is actual for me. That's self-care, and that's one of the most important things.
This is it. And it's something that's all about the way you say it to yourself. Exactly. And how you then communicate with others. So I think a support group like Mindful Mothers is so important for that reason alone.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So what are some of your tips?
Absolutely. Well, for me, one of the most important ones is you have to understand what's going on. And everyone thinks, yes, I know, you have a baby, comes out, and that's it. We have been programmed by TV, by stories, by everything, what birth should or looks like. But we haven't got any positive images, if you think about it. It's always the woman lying on her back like a beetle, and usually screaming, shouting, hitting the husband, or doing God knows what. It's almost like they're making fun of women giving birth. That kind of scenarios when you see that on TV, for example. And for me, it's really important to understand what's going on with your hormones. How are the hormones helping your body to actually prepare for birth, but also how's the baby going through the birth, through your vagina? How does it turn? How can you help the baby? Because of a lot of the times we just see women being rather passive apart from pushing, but it's important that you move around, that the baby can move around and the baby can come through, things like that. For me, that it's very important that to understand that. And you may get that from a professional prenatal class, but you also might want to talk to a doula or to your midwife that you trust, and to really get the ins and out. And we not only teach mindfulness, hypnosis, yoga, and so on. We also explain the physiological side of it, including the hormones, including what's going on, what's going on with the baby, like the head is being squashed whilst coming out, and then the actual skull forms, and important things like that. And I find that a very key point, because once you understand, you don't feel that helpless or lost. You actually feel in control, and hey, my body is working with me, for me, and so is the baby. So you're kind of a team, and you trust yourself. You get that instinct back into yourself, rather than having those pictures in your head.
And how wonderful is that? Because you're right. I mean, everyone tells you, it's going to hurt, but that's even worse, right? Because then it's like this, you've already been preconditioned to, it's going to hurt. Yes, okay, that is definitely part of birth, but whether you tense or you relax makes a heck of a difference.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a lot of people come to me for trauma, and it actually goes back to birth.
Yeah.
Right? Because the mother tenses and there's problems, and and a lot of women hold on. This is where this postpartum depression comes from. They don't even understand, because their bodies tense so much during that pregnancy, and then tense so much during that birth. And then the stress of, the baby kind of going away from you for, depending on why you need to talk to a doula, why you need to talk to your medical people in advance is because how they handle it. Do they put the baby straight on you? Do they take the baby away? You know, all these things. If, like you said, you talk about it with other women, it won't be such a stressful thing because you'll already in your mind's eye have gone through a version or 2 or 3 of what can happen. So very important. So very important.
And that's why I always also say, you know, prepare for birth in whatever way feels right for you. Right. But you should prepare. And that is not only just physically, for example, pelvic floor exercise, breathing exercise, perineal massage, what have you, but also mentally. You know, you don't run a marathon without having some mental preparation for it. And I like to have that comparison because it is, you know, it is a big effort to give birth. I mean, it's a miracle every single time, and it's for your body. It's a big thing, and so you really need to be physically but also mentally prepared for it. So that would definitely be one of the top 3, right. And we have a big toolbox of all sorts of exercises. We have mindfulness exercise, we have meditation, we have hypnosis, and sometimes my partner Hannah is doing them, sometimes I'm doing them. And maybe some people prefer my voice to Hannah's or the other way around. Some might just prefer the meditation, others might like the different hypnosis. Right. So it's really that you prepare for that relaxation, because that relaxation is so vital for your body. If you're nervous system is relaxed, if your muscles can relax, your chances of having a nice birth are much, much, much higher. Right. If you tense up, if you think about it, you can't run a marathon tensing up your muscles. If you're under stress, under pain, in a lot of pain, and it just
the release of the hormones.
Work. Absolutely.
Right. The release of all the cortisol straight into your baby. I mean, it might be good for a boy baby. You might get some muscle, but for a girl baby, it's really not a great thing. So no, I 100%, and everything that Sina is talking about, we will have her top tips, and she will have at least 5 of each, which should be the getting pregnant, the women preparing for birth, and the giving of after birth. You know, everything will be there on LifeHakx.com. That's with a K and an X, including Sina's website. So speaking of which, just give the audience the website information.
Yes, that's www.mindfulmothers.ch.
Super easy. And of course, you also give courses in German as well as English.
As English, yes, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx.
We are talking to Sina from Mindful Mothers, and she is telling us some of her top hacks or tips for getting pregnant, preparing for birth, and after birth. So go ahead and tell us a bit more about, you were talking about that you have at your center the opportunity for women to get together in groups, talk about their experiences. That can also include things like miscarriage, fertility problems, preparation for birthing, and those who've actually had children, because there's quite a few women who do go back and get extra support for other children, for their next births, because every birth is completely different. And like you said, every birth is an actual miracle. So, with that, what else would you recommend for women after they've had, after they've had the experience of giving birth, for healing and, connecting to their partner and their baby?
Well, for the immediate time after birth, I would first of all say get organized beforehand. Finish everything off that you want to do, because you just don't know what it's going to be like afterwards. It might be very easy. You might not have, there might not be a lot of healing. Everything might be just like that, but it may also be the other way, and you don't know. So get the paperwork done, fill the freezer, do everything that you think should be done beforehand. Secondly, go to professional postnatal class. Why do I say that? It's very important to train your pelvic floor. If you don't want to have any issues afterwards, you may also be very lucky and don't have any issues, but in general, there can be quite some damage done, and you should really, really exercise your pelvic floor after giving birth. Think about it. I mean, the baby already weighs, depending on how big your baby is, a couple of kilos. Then you have all the water within there, the placenta and everything. That all pushes down, and gravity is not helping you either. So get those pelvic floor muscles trained, tummy muscles trained again. Get your tummy checked by a professional, and usually that's what they offer in those postnatal classes.
And you yourself offer the yoga. Is that after as well?
Part of our program, actually, yes, is that we offer postnatal classes. Absolutely. In our program, we also offer postnatal hypnosis sessions. For example, hypnosis can aid very, very well with healing, because your body gets into such a relaxed state that studies show that if you, for example, give birth during with hypnosis, that your body heals faster. Even people having operations whilst being hypnotized, body's healing faster. So that's why we're offering a postnatal hypnosis class. And that's definitely also one of the top things. Do your hypnosis, not just for the healing part of it, but also for sleep recovery. You will be lacking a lot of sleep at the time, and you will not get your deep sleep phases, your REM sleep, and so on. But with hypnosis, your brain waves actually go into very similar states, and you can recover faster. So if you listen to, for example, let's say half an hour when baby is sleeping to a hypnosis session, that can feel like a couple of hours of sleep, and you may not even be lucky to get a couple of hours of sleep.
Right.
So I would say use that time when that baby is sleeping for yourself. It's your self-care. You need to look after yourself. It's the same thing in an airplane. If oxygen masks fall down, you have to put on the oxygen mask first before you put it onto your child.
Right. But now, saying that, you were mentioning the fact about the hypnosis and how it helps, because, just telling a regular person or a parent, okay, well, relax once the baby's born. That's not so easy for some people. They're panicked. They're worried about, is the baby sleeping? Is the baby breathing? Oh my gosh, the housework is like, there's so much to do. I have to catch up. All these relatives I've got to call. All my friends are calling, and that in itself is so much stress. And the power of hypnosis is that it gives you some of that control back internally, where you can say, I'm going to count down now. I'm going to relax, or I'm going to go to my Mindful Mothers class, commit to that, and feel better coming back from it, and getting that bit of relaxation to take back home, so that you can, it's so important to make time, like you said. And I think hypnosis helps with that, because it stops listening to the busy conscience, and all the voices saying you got to do this, responsibility is that, and all the rest of it. And it lets the subconscious take over and actually say, no, this is what's important, and this is how it's going to go. And when we start listening to our subconscious, that's when we heal, that's when we grow, and that's when we have great experiences with our family, with our baby. I couldn't have said it any better. Right, so this is absolutely. I'm all eager. I wish I no, I don't want to have any more. No, thank you. But
it's a key thing to establish that self-care routine.
Right.
Because it's. I always say, if you start off in the fertility program, move on to the prenatal, you will get that routine. We offer that course, and the courses usually go for around 3 months. So you will have a weekly call that you should attend. Obviously, you can't always attend, but you have the recordings, you have everything. On top of that, you have audios, you have exercise, you have everything. And I always said, pick and choose what you like. Have fun with it, enjoy it, but do it. It's like I said earlier on, going to the gym. Can't train without doing the exercises.
Right. So this is wonderful. People can definitely look on lifehakx.com. That's with the K and an X, to hear more and see more of Sina's information. But also, just from listening to this, get right on that website. That is mindfulmothers.ch. So thank you so much, Sina. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mary.
LifeHakx. LifeHakx.com. That's with a K and an X on Radio X.